good morning, and welcome to another episode of the Playbook Diaries. This is your host, Jarden, and I'm here with special guest Malik. Malik, how you doing this morning?
Doing all right, doing all right. Just got out the gym, so I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
We have a jam-packed episode, lots of opinions. It's going to be a lot of opinions, kind of some heavyish topics. You know, it's always heavy when we're talking about race. We're going to go ahead and start off with the game from last night, the Minnesota Timberwolves and versus who they play, Oklahoma City.
Yes.
114 to 88.
Yeah, yeah.
Malik, tell us about that
Well,
game.
I knew it was bad when OKC was playing so bad in the first half, and the Wolves were only up by four. That made me think like, this is not looking good because OKC wasn't hitting nothing, and it's Shy. Apparently, he kissed his baby or something, which I can understand. Can do a lot of motivation. And that second half just went off in second half, and I had the Wolves plus seven. And yeah, at halftime, even though they were up, I was not feeling good. So obviously, ended up being a blowout. The Wolves just looked so unprepared, not unprepared, but like a little frazzled. I don't think Anthony Edwards thought he was going to face a lot of double teams and triple teams throughout the entire night, which he did. Obviously, he's better one on one. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe the Wolves just needed a fill out game, and Ant just needed a fill out game and come back in game two. But no, the OKC did the thing, game one.
Okay. All right. So, who do you have for winning the series? Who do you want to win the series, but who do you think will win the series?
I mean, I want and think the Wolves will win,
Okay.
to be
I
honest with
want
you.
I want the Wolves to win, but I think Oklahoma City is going to take it.
They looked more organized. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It's just
Okay.
game one. Can't judge off of game one.
And for the Pacers and New York, any predictions on that game tonight?
Well, the Knicks were built to beat the Celtics, but that also helps them against the Pacers as well. Pacers usually struggle against Jalen Brunson. I want the Knicks to do a thing. Honestly, the Knicks have to do it because the West is going to be pretty scary next year. You got the Mavs, got the Spurs, good draft picks, good teams coming up. You got Houston potentially trading for a big star. They think Giannis might be going there. The West is going to get stacked again. So the Knicks, this is the time. So I think this is the Knicks' time, and I think they will do it.
Okay, I think I got the New York Knicks winning just because it's kind of like that Cinderella underdog story. So
Hmm.
I think I want them to win the series. But when they come against Minnesota, you know I love uh, Anthony Edwards, so I want him to get a ring. Um, but I also do really like Jalen Brunson. I like the fairy tale of like his dad being on the coaching staff and just
Hmm.
how that looks. I know ESPN is eating it up. They love a sob story. So
The
either one of those, whatever.
the
But we
the
we got
crazy thing
black kings on
is,
all of them.
there's so many Knicks fans in media. I did not realize that. Like, I
Oh
guess
yeah,
because they're
there's a
all the way out
lot.
of New York, they all coming out the woodworks now. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool, man. To be honest with you, because I know they sucked like all my whole life. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
we'll see.
I will say, I'm not necessarily a Knicks fan, but I like the storyline. You know, when the media creates stories, and there's so many stories created for the Knicks. Actually, there's only when you talk about the Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Indiana, and New York, the narrative that we've seen and the really the only good story is the Knicks. So we know who the media wants, but it does help that like ESPN, everybody, TNT, CBS, everybody's out of New York and
Correct.
you know where they film and stuff. So it's like it does make sense that
Hmm.
that's the only team with like a storyline.
The Knicks are live too. I just, they're cool to watch. To be honest with you, OKC doesn't really have any aura to me. I don't know. You said the
You
same
said,
thing. Like
you said OKC doesn't have what?
aura. It's just they just seem kind of they're boring for some reason. I don't know what it is, but they are. So, no, yeah, you're right. I would definitely like the Knicks to win too. I'm right
They
there with you
definitely
on
are.
that one.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next topic, we have Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark.
Mm.
This same story. What are we at now? 3 years later?
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see, but it sucks. But reason why I say it's cool is because it's good for the WNBA.
Hmm.
Because it's the only reason why I'm watching or even interested is
Hmm.
because of these two coming into the league at the same time and what they did through college. So,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, keep going.
So my question to you, and I love that you are a man because I like the male perspective as well, just different perspectives. Do you think that the media pushes narratives on the feud between these two more than they would if they were male athletes?
No. because the media, for some reason, got very sensitive, all because Angel Reese did a taunt to Caitlin Clark. It's
Well,
like they're
that's what I'm
not used
saying.
to.
So you don't. So you do feel like
No,
it. The
I,
media.
I 100% do. It's like the girls can talk mess to each other too.
Okay.
Y'all like it when the males do it. Y'all think it's cool. Y'all show obviously constant replays of it, but like it was an actual topic because she did that to her.
I'm like in MLB. They're throwing punches. We got
Mm-hmm.
murals on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing instant replays of fights in football,
Correct.
and
Praising
this.
it. That's all. That was it. A John Cena, harmless. You can't see me, which was Caitlyn's taunt that she did to another team. I guess I forgot the team to be honest with you, but she did it first, and
Uh,
Angel Reese did, "Hey, we're doing right back at you." Sports. That's what, I mean, like I don't understand because it was women doing it. It became a big thing, and it also became a big thing because Caitlin Clark is America's, little darling.
mm,
Which I understand she's the best women's college basketball player we ever seen.
mm,
One, obviously the best shooter, and Angel Reese, LSU, loudmouth LSU beat them. So I think that also doubled down on it for even being a topic. Let's be honest. The country was built on racism. Race definitely plays a factor in all this as well. So it
yes,
is what it
and
is.
that's why I think the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese debate is actually exhausting. I don't like talking about them, not because it's women's sports, but because there's a difference in how the media portrays women in sports doing the exact same things that men do. There is a double
Hmm.
standard, there is a bias, and there is I think that when we talk about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, we're no longer talking about basketball. We're not talking about the women. We're talking about racism. I feel like new fans to basketball or even new fans to sports use the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark situation as a vehicle to express their true racism.
Hmm.
And I think that it stopped being about basketball when speaking about these two. It stopped being about basketball 3 years ago.
Correct.
When I mean, even the way that the media portrayed LSU versus Iowa, the predominantly black team versus the predominantly white team,
Right.
um, the way that they spoke about them, the words that were used, I'm like, it was like the difference in how they described Michelle Obama when Obama was in office versus all of the other white first ladies.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hate making everything about race, but when the country's built on race and racism, it's hard to not relay it to everything that we do. And it's associated with everything. But that's why I don't like talking about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese because I'm like, we're not talking about basketball. We're talking about race and semantics.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, the fact of the matter is Angel Reese is not as nowhere as good as Caitlin Clark. We understand that. We understand that she's the main character, but Caitlin Clark has also gotten more popularity because of Angel Reese.
And we said
Angel,
that last year on the podcast. We said that Caitlin Clark is not as big as she is if there is no Angel Reese, because for every hero, you
hmm.
need a villain.
Correct.
And I think that they
Correct.
both amplify each other's stories. Like I think that they're both needed for each other's success, not success on the court, but success in
Business,
media,
fame,
business, yeah,
fame.
business, fame, media, their brand deals were brands picking a side. The brands that were like associated with being the villain or the bad girl, the bad guy, they all went for Angel Reese.
Mm.
And, the good cookie cutter brands went for Caitlin Clark. They don't get those brands if there's no feud. So I think that
Correct.
they're both appreciative of each other. And I actually think, I'm like, what if they're pulling the wool over all of our eyes? And this is all a ploy because they're like, look, you want to get paid? I want to get paid.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But see, people. So the thing is, obviously, it leads into a conversation later. People say that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. It's not
Not
that.
not people who said that.
RG3 said that,
But a lot
but
of other people do believe the same.
I don't think she hates her. I think she's hate what she's had to endure because of her.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for saying that because a lot of Caitlin Clark's fans are not fans of Caitlin Clark. They hate Angel Reese and what she represents and stands for. And there's a difference between being a fan of someone and
Mhm.
just hating their opponent.
Correct, correct. I mean, like. I mean, obviously, there's an investigation going on about all the stuff that's being yelled at her and stuff like that. People really hate Angel Reese. Like,
They do, and it wasn't. It used to be odd to me, but then I said, "Oh, wait, we're in the U.S. Like we see this time and time again. When you have successful Black people, now this is my opinion, obviously, but when you have successful Black people, they want Black successful people to be humble and not pop their shit. And while when we compare successful Black people to their successful white counterparts, those same expectations aren't put on them. We saw it with Shador Sanders in the draft. You compare Shador to Johnny Manziel or Baker Mayfield, it's like y'all didn't ask them white boys to be humble. Y'all celebrated them popping their shit. Y'all celebrated them quite
oh yeah,
literally acting an ass.
it.
Shador Sanders had zero scandals, never had any grade issues that we're aware of, never
Mm-hmm.
had domestic violence charges,
Mm-hmm.
never was involved with the police. Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Manziel and Baker Mayfield both had off the field issues.
Mm-hmm.
They're planting flags, which would be deemed as arrogance in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of their opponent's logo in the middle of the field.
Baker Mayfield grabbed his junk on the sideline at a team.
They would
I
have
mean,
had a fucking field day if Shador would have did some
I'm
shit like
telling
that.
you, I'm
Baker
telling
Mayfield
you.
was arrested for evading arrest.
Correct.
You
Correct.
think
And
Shador would have been able to get away with that shit?
let's,
No.
let's be serious here. Oh, hell no. But yes, yes, dude, there's an argument to be made that Baker Mayfield was a better talent, or John Manziel was a better talent than Shador. Yes. But
Yes.
for him to go down to the fifth round was an obvious message sent. Dion didn't help because Dion got enemies out there too. We
Dion
know
did not
this.
help.
He did not help with what he was saying and how arrogant he was being, and we gonna choose where he goes and stuff like that. Sador probably wasn't at that level to be doing all that. And yeah, so but
No, because like I said,
regardless, you should have won in the first round, at least first two rounds,
the same
regardless.
issue, like people were on Shador about and Dion, and I was one of their critics saying, like he's not good enough and hasn't established himself well enough to be the type of talent where y'all can publicly say, "Oh, we're gonna pick what team." Um, but this has a long history because, and you have to do your research when speaking about topics with sports because this shit's been going on for years. But not the Manziel brothers, Peyton,
Oh, Manning brothers.
the Manning brothers, their dad said the same shit. They said
Mm-hmm.
he will not be drafted by this team.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to this team. Now, did they have the talent then? I actually don't know because I was like, I am not searching up those stats for this. But the point of the argument was that this was not the first time that parents have been overbearing in the process of their child being drafted
True.
after the parent has come through the league themselves. And people were acting like, oh, no one's ever done this before. And it's like, no, no one's ever done it maybe in your lifetime because when they were drafted, you were two, but it's happened before. They were acting like this was an anomaly and Dion
It's
was doing something that had never been done. Like, no, other NFL players had done that to their kids.
It wasn't an anomaly, but the fact that it was Deion Sanders, which is a lot bigger shadow. Like Deion Sanders is a name that it's obviously one of the most recognizable. Prime time is like that's a bigger brand than some teams can handle. And that's kind
Mhm.
of what the added pressure was. I feel like how he was. Even like you said, do your research. I watched a Deion documentary and you try to play two sports at the same time. People hated him for it, for doing it. I was just like, wait, what? Like it
And
was
then
this
and
is
then
so
one in both
crazy to see.
sports.
One in both sports, and then but people really like did not like the fact that he was doing it. They called him selfish for
But
trying to
but
play two
but
sports, which
But
was
what was that? Because at the end of the day, sports to these men and women nowadays are that's their job. That's what's
yeah.
paying the bills in their household. What people call a man working two 9 to 5s, one remote job and one, would they call that person selfish? Would they
Hmm.
call the mom working two jobs to support her family? Would they call that selfish? No.
No.
So why is it deemed as selfish because he wants to go play two sports? No, jealousy is a thing. Y'all hate him because y'all literally ain't him
Right.
because he's such a freak athlete. And it's like for him to go play both sports at that level, it's like, how many people could even do this? How many people have done this? And then for him to
Right.
win at the highest level in both sports, they were pissed because it's like we already have this arrogant, confident man,
True.
black man, But then
Right.
it's like, and he's winning, like he's really popping his shit. They didn't like that he was popping shit. They want successful black people to shut up and be
You got
humble, but white people don't have to be humble with their success, and that's the difference in like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Now, can I be one to admit that that does Angel Reese do a lot sometimes? Yes.
she doesn't do herself any favors, no.
She doesn't do any favors in her how she's presented in the media, but I think
Correct.
that she's very aware of how she presents herself in the media, and she's making a conscious decision to say, this is who I am. You don't have to like me, and that's cool.
Hmm.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Angel Reese initially, because I did think she sometimes overdid it, even with the whole hands in the face thing. I'm like, okay, that's cool. She did that. Once she followed Caitlyn around the court for like 2 minutes, it's like, girl, you just ran a championship. Doing this for 5 seconds, okay, cool. Following Caitlin Clark around was the step where I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. That was a little much. So I do think that Angel Reese does tend to do a little much, but I think that that's her personality, and it's just like you're not gonna like everybody. You're not gonna be a fan of everybody. But even me just not liking that action, it didn't make me be like, I hate Angel Reese.
Right, right.
It didn't bring hate to my heart. I was just like,
Yeah.
that's a
That's
little
it.
much, and I
Right. I
moved
didn't
on.
like, yeah, like, I wasn't too a fan of that, but like hate, like it actual like the discussion, I was like, okay, guys, let's like, but we all know what it is. Unfortunately, not everybody wants to admit what it is, but what that is obviously there's obviously race playing a part. You're a fool if you don't think race plays a part in this. To be honest with you,
No, no,
yes,
they're
Kerry
being,
Clark's,
it's weaponized ignorance. Because if
yes,
you don't think that race is playing a huge part in this conversation between these two athletes, you are willfully being ignorant. You
mm-hmm,
are ignoring facts and history at this point.
yep,
But so let's take it a step further.
okay.
Let's go into the other Clark. This is a big week for the Clarks. We got Caitlin Clark, and now we're gonna move on to Ryan Clark. Um, you know the scenario. For those listeners that aren't aware of the situation, I'll try to summarize and Malik jump in when
Okay.
if I
Okay.
miss any steps. So there was a play in the WNBA. It involved Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Angel Reese had the ball, was going for a layup. She was going for something. And um, Caitlin
Caitlin
Clark,
flagrant foul.
you
Flagrant
said
foul.
what?
Flagrant foul. It was a flagrant foul. It was
Yeah,
like
Caitlin
obviously,
Clark
yeah.
fouled Angel Reese kind of hard. Was it like overly, like, was it a football tackle? No. But she fouled her pretty hard. Caitlin got charged with a flagrant foul. Angel Reese kind of like bucked at Caitlin, and some of the athletes from both teams separated the women. Regular sports shit, honestly. Regular sports
Correct.
shit, it's like whatever.
Right.
Um, Obviously, this gets the people going. Social media is going wild, and RG3, Robert Griffin III, out of Baylor. I forgot who he played for professionally.
Yep.
Yeah, Baylor.
Well, he got drafted by the Redskins, won a playoff game with them, then tore his ACL and was never the same again. But
Okay, thanks.
yeah.
Thank you for that. RG3, he got on his personal podcast, not associated with ESPN or any media network. His personal podcast that he co-hosts with his wife. He gets on his podcast and says, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. That was the quote. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. And he lists out a couple reasons of why he thinks that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Um, Whatever. Ryan Clark, fellow ESPN analyst. The guys have worked together. They've been on the same team together. Ryan Clark fires back and says, RG3, I think your comments are completely irresponsible when you're speaking about a topic that is racially, guided and is a vehicle for racism. I think you're being irresponsible speaking about these things because at the end of the day, you don't know what Angel Reese is going through as a black woman. And Ryan Clark said, these aren't conversations that you have. You don't have conversations in your household with your white wife about, what black women in America go through. So you should basically sit this conversation out. Did I miss a step?
Well, he also said that for someone like Robert Griffin III, whose like kind of whole personality is having a white wife, which he's
Mhm.
made apparent. He obviously not just showing her off, but like they'll do funny jokes, racially driven jokes, and the obsession with milk and calling her snow and all this. Ryan Clark says because Robert is highlights his wife just because of her color of her skin, and she's a lovely lady. He did say she's a lovely lady, but
Yeah.
she's more than just saying, "Hey, I have a white wife." Like,
Mhm.
who is she as a person? Like, that's all that you talk about, is that you have a white wife, and it's obviously Ryan Clark did not like Robert Griffin III
That
from the
was
get
apparent.
go.
They made it clear that they don't like each other and
They
they have
don't like each
essentially
other.
never gotten along. Um,
I can see
so
RG3 being very annoying though, as a person, like to work with RG3.
a hundred
Or,
percent.
yeah. So I feel like he kind of just was saying something he's always been thinking.
Yeah,
And
that so we'll get into that. But then RG3 fires back after Ryan Clark and says, you know, that shows what type of person you are. You're horrible, you're a horrible person. And then fans, not only fans, but RG3 also gets on his Twitter and says that there should be immediate action from ESPN to Ryan Clark because of his comments to RG3's wife. So let's break it down from the beginning.
Mm,
First off, I want to start by saying that in a post-game press conference with Angel Reese after the foul on her by Caitlin Clark after the flagrant, Angel Reese said, quote, when asked, what do you think about the play? Did you think that Caitlin Clark was too rough on you? Like, what do you think about the play? Angel Reese said, it was a basketball play. The refs got it right. Move on. That's all she said.
hmm
Now, in some of his commentary, RG3 did say, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark because, you know, Angel Reese got slammed to the ground and had a much worse foul occur on her by a veteran player. And she didn't get up and try to fight that player, but a much lesser foul committed by Caitlin Clark, she wanted to get up and fight. Now, like I said, do I think Angel Reese be doing a lot sometimes? Yes. When I watch the clip, mind you, I'm just watching the clip. I'm not watching the game. So I must say that because that might change your perspective if you're watching the
True.
full game.
Sure.
So I saw the clip and I was like, okay, Angel doing a little much, but like whatever. And I thought it was real big of Angel to just be like, that was a basketball play. The refs called it right. Move on. Like she basically saying it ain't no big deal. Like she fouled me hard. Game's over. I don't give a fuck no more. Like, move
And
on.
again, we said it earlier. We think Angel Reese really crashed out like that because of all the hate that she has to endure because of Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
So I think Angel Reese was more mad that it was her that did the foul. Yes,
Well, yeah.
obviously,
I
but
think
it's
that.
because yeah,
Go ahead, finish.
it's because she's been villainized ever since her moment with Caitlin Clark, and she just can't get away from it. And obviously, getting fouled like that, she probably was going off on the person that sends her hate mail every morning or something like that instead of Caitlin Clark. But
And I think it's important to note. I think Angel Reese reacted to being fouled by Caitlin Clark the same way that somebody would react to being like, you know, being hit by someone that they already dislike
hmm
or are already not fond with. It's like if your sibling hits you, it's like okay, like whatever, like come on now. If
right.
somebody you don't aren't fond of hits you, it's like it warrants a different reaction, and we have to calculate that into these actions. It's like,
hmm
yeah, if somebody else hits you, it's like, all right, whatever. But somebody
Right.
that you kind of at odds with, like that would warrant a different response. So
It's completely different getting hit from a total stranger to someone
yeah,
that you
versus
already have a distaste for.
in history with exactly.
Yes, exactly.
So with with the okay, so with the going back to the RG3 comments and the Ryan Clark comments,
Mhm.
do you think you are a black man and you are a married black man? You have a wife and you have kids. RG3 accused Ryan Clark of, attack. He said, you attacked my family. And because you attacked my family, I think that ESPN should, discipline you accordingly. Do you think that Ryan Clark attacked RG3's family?
Obviously, the man did not attack the family. The man said RG3 you a weirdo because you always talk about your wife being white and all of this, and you like to highlight that. And now you're also being double weird because you just went automatically to Angel Reese hating Caitlin Clark, which sounds like your wife's opinion. I just wanted to ask, does RG3 not sound like a bit of a Karen? With the, I want discipline, I want this
Oh
man
no,
to be
no. Okay.
fired.
So
I'm
social media, y'all know I scan social media. Social media, because RG3, you saw that long ass paragraph he left, set
mm-hmm,
calling for like discipline, him
mm-hmm.
calling for disciplinary action and saying that he was attacked. When you go and watch the clip that Ryan Clark posted, or on his via the Pivot podcast, Ryan Clark, I don't see, if you watch the clip, how you could ever take that as an attack on your family. He mentioned your wife. He issued a compliment to your wife, saying she's a lovely woman and she's much more than what you reduce her to. You reduce her to her skin color, and she's much more than that. He gave your wife a compliment and condemn the way that you speak about your wife. But that's
Correct.
the only way your wife was brought up. But also, the kids were never mentioned. They were mentioned indirectly, saying like, these are
Well,
conversations that you have in your household. But at the same time, it's like, is that an assumption? Yes. So was
it's
RG3 saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. That was also an assumption.
correct.
So if we all just throwing out
Correct.
assumptions, like, let's just
I,
throw out assumptions.
I mean, maybe Brian Clark might have a little bit more in detail what who kind of what the kind of person RG3 is for sure, compared to us.
Yes.
I think what Ryan Clark meant by that is because Ryan Clark is a big proponent on us appreciating Black women because they do go through the most and the
Hmm.
most overlooked. It is what it is. And he's a big proponent of that. And RG3 represents everything that Ryan Clark distastes because he's a man, a black man, who chose to go white, which is fine. No, I don't care about that, but like highlights it and
Because
makes him
Ryan Clark has a white baby mama.
correct. But RG3 comes off as I'm better than you because I have a white wife.
Yes, he does.
That's the problem.
He
And
thinks that, in my opinion, RG3 thinks that because he was able to marry a white woman, that puts him in a different class level.
correct.
Like,
That's
he
how it
thinks
comes off.
that's how it comes off via his social media, and how many times he references his wife's race.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
egregious. If you haven't yet, he's already started deleting some of the tweets, but I screenshotted them.
Oh wow.
But I would encourage everyone to go to RG3's Twitter and search the word milk. The amount of tweets that came up was egregious. It's like, this is scary, actually.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird. I mean, he brought him face to face with his fetish, and I don't think RG3 reacted very well. And yeah, I don't know, man. It just sounded like a white woman when he was talking. Like to be honest with you, just wants disciplinary in action, attack on me. He just played victim so fast. And reason why I'm a little sensitive to it because I'm a black man that works in a fluent, predominantly white area as well,
Mhm.
and I've been called for my job because I'd said something the client didn't like. And it's just a little ridiculous, like, oh, something should happen to them. Well, it's just like, and all I'm doing is my job, or maybe I could come off a little better, definitely. But calling for someone's job is huge. Like, you have to have very like wrong, like proof of wrongdoing for someone's job to get taken. Because I
Mhm.
don't know, it's hard out there. So it's just a little much, just a little much from him. But I do think Ryan Clark probably could have not just not bring it up, but like communicated maybe a little better, or probably shouldn't have brought it up because it is what it is. Because you did bring someone's wife in it, but she's on the podcast. Is she not fair game if she's on the podcast?
So that's what I said, and that's what a lot of the argument on social media is the wife fair game to mention? She's in the background of the video, co-signing RG3 as he makes these statements about
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It's like, she's the co-host of your sports podcast.
Right.
So, once podcast people, that's like myself, you and I agreeing to film, we
Hmm.
post the clips on social media, it gets clipped, and I come out and I say, well, no, don't speak on me. Don't speak on me.
You
You're
made
a
yourself
co-host
fair
on a
game.
podcast. You're fair game.
That's right. That's right. So it's yeah, RG3 played victim. Ryan Clark may have probably shouldn't have brought it up, but who knows? Who cares? He did, and he wasn't wrong. The
He
two
wasn't
things can be
wrong.
right. He probably shouldn't have brought it up, but he wasn't wrong in what he said.
So, do you think that Ryan Clark's comments were inappropriate? And do you think that, and this is a double-ended question or double-barrel question, were his comments inappropriate given the setting? And should Ryan Clark be punished or disciplined at work via ESPN for his comments that he made on a non ESPN platform, his own personal platform, outside of work hours that don't seemingly violate any rules? I'm just thinking of like your average corporate rules.
ESPN should not do anything. We've seen people like Joy Taylor, nothing's happening. We've seen Shannon Sharp, nothing's officially happened with Shannon Sharp. He just stepped away for ESPN. Ryan Clark stepped away for ESPN, I guess, but like I don't think it needs to be that of that level. Him stepping away.
I don't
He's
think so either, because if we actually break down Ryan Clark's comments, he just said y'all don't have conversations about black women in y'all's household. And
yeah,
they never came out and said we didn't say we do.
right, exactly,
They
exactly,
never
and it
said, yes, we do. It's just
right.
like, well, that's a normal assumption. No one, I mean, really, I don't think anyone's expecting you to have these conversations at your in your household, because they don't, having a conversation about black
It
women,
doesn't pertain to the
it doesn't
household.
affect anyone in that household.
Correct. It's
So that's like
s-
asking in my household, like, do you discuss the effects of, something about Asian Americans? It's like, well, that doesn't really affect anyone in my household, as knowing my household is Asian. So
right.
that's probably not a common conversation.
Correct.
Maybe I might talk about that with my Asian friend, but in my black ass household, that has never come up, I don't think.
We're
So
not. We're not.
it was a fair assumption. It
We're not
wasn't
talking.
a
We're not.
crazy assumption.
Not at all. Not at all. And he probably knows because again, Ryan Clark knows RG3 personally than compared
Yeah.
to us. So I think I think Ryan Clark's had to say something to get off his chest, and just he just has disdain for for RG3, and I can see why. To be honest with you, I'd probably be the same if he was that annoying about it. And I mean, RG3 did get let go from ESPN, and Ryan Clark stayed on. RG3
Yeah.
probably wasn't liked by most on ESPN for him to get let go like that. I think
Yeah.
obviously for the Pat McAfee show or whatever, but. Yeah, I think Ryan Clark at the end of the day was trying to defend Angel Reese. And
Mhm.
I think he was just trying to say, like, you don't want to just assume that, a black person is the angry black person, because that's what we get labeled it a lot.
He was
And
perpetuating a negative stereotype towards black women. RG3 was.
and he did not realize that when he said that. And that's what Brian Clark was saying. Like, yeah, I don't think you really understand what black women go through, because if you did, you wouldn't be publicly saying this about a black woman who's gone through a lot already
Yeah.
around this whole topic. So I think that was the
Basically,
main idea of the
yeah.
conversation in the first place.
Basically checking him for further perpetuating a dangerous negative stereotype towards black women. I do think that both men, just being completely unbiased, were guilty of projecting
Mm,
their dislike for one group or one person and putting it on the person that they were talking about. So, more specifically, because that was kind of a mouthful, I think that RG3, and this could be a stretch, but this is my opinion. I feel like RG3 has feelings towards black women. And when he speaks about Angel Reese, I think that he lets his opinions and thoughts towards other black women, his disdain for black women, I think he lets that come out in his, sports commentary towards Angel Reese.
right.
And I think that he projects a little bit of whatever previous feelings he's had on black women. I feel like he projects that onto Angel Reese, and it comes out in that manner because, like, one plus one is not equaling two on your, like, how you're drawing these opinions. And I also think that Ryan Clark is guilty of using his already like disdain or not liking RG3. I think that he used that um
Hmm.
as a as a reason to be like, oh, I'm gonna jump on this. Like I already don't like this man. I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna use this as an excuse to really let my feelings about him go because this is a scenario where it fits. So I think
Right.
they're both guilty of projecting because I definitely think that Ryan Clark might have taken advantage of the fact that he does not like RG3, which is fair. We're not gonna like all of our coworkers. We're not gonna like the people that we work with. That's cool. But I think he was like, he just jumped and I was like, oh, I can express my
Yeah.
true feelings
Right.
about RG3 through this topic. And he just let the chopper sing. But I don't think anything was inappropriate. Would that have been inappropriate to say on a ESPN platform? A
Probably.
hundred percent. A hundred
Yeah.
percent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this was not an ESPN platform.
Right.
I know that jobs sometimes are like, well, you can't embarrass us out. There's a morality clause. You can say, even though you weren't wearing company gear, um, you weren't at work, you still said things and you are an employee of us. And if you say these things we don't agree with, you can be fired or disciplined. I don't think that Ryan Clark said anything that is worthy of disciplinary action because
Not
I
at
think
all.
that what Ryan Clark said is only inappropriate if it's said on an ESPN platform. But him having personal feelings towards RG3 and his wife, who is his co host, while they're filming separately outside of work, I think that makes it the appropriate setting to address something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, he said a lot of things that people were thinking for sure. Because I've noticed RG3 doing the same thing. Like, all right, man, I understand you got a white wife, I got you. But it's just, uh, he just said a lot. He just said a lot of things that people were thinking, and the fact that people are trying to get to him attacking a family is ridiculous. It just really is. But yeah, I just don't think Ryan Clark meant any ill will in his comments. But he also did not lie and said, RG3, you're a little weird when it comes to, um, feeling you're better than someone because you're with a white wife. And that's his perspective, and people's perspective is the reality. That's what it comes off to me as well.
Yeah.
I don't know RG3 personally. He actually lives close by, apparently, like probably like 20 minutes from me.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he's kind of proud about, being with a white woman, and it probably rubs a lot of black men the wrong way,
I
especially
think it
black men who
rubs
love black women.
from what I posted on social media yesterday, it seems like it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I got feedback from white women, from white men, from black,
Mm.
like from people of all different races and genders, and I had white women saying if a man spoke about me like that, it would make me feel extremely uncomfortable. Like always bringing up my race when like we're mentioning race when race is not a factor in anything that we're doing. Like they're standing there take there's a picture of RG3 and his wife taking a regular picture and he's like, milk, my milk and cookies, my tall glass of milk. It's like, and then like she's like breastfeeding their kid, and he's like, they say, milk is the best source. Like, it's just like, sir, you're being egregious. It's creepy. You're doing too much. Just like
Yeah.
I said, sometimes Angel Reese be doing too much. Robert, you're doing a lot, and you're like toting a thin line of like, okay, like telling the same joke over and over again. It's not funny no more. Now it's concerning, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm concerned with the amount of times that you mention this woman's race, and how many times y'all make racial jokes about you being black and her being white.
That
And it's
don't
just like,
need, there's
okay,
nothing, it's not even needed. Like you said, in half the pictures, it's not even needed. Like one
all the
time,
pictures.
okay, two times, cool, but like, all right, man. Like every
50,
single picture, yeah, every single picture that y'all have with each other, all right. It's
it's
just,
crazy. But I think that further talking about race, white women in the country in America have oftentimes been associated with being Karens or weaponizing their tears, and that is something that we saw RG3 do in his calling for the discipline of Ryan Clark for these comments and how he I don't I think if you when you exaggerate to a certain extent, if the exaggeration is too far from the truth, it's now a lie. And I think that in RG3 saying you attacked my family, for someone that didn't see the Ryan Clark clip, it's like, well, damn, what did he say? And I
hmm
think that he exaggerated the attack on the family so much that it was then a lie. And you saw a lot of social media reactors respond saying, I wonder where he learned that from. Like, you weaponized your feelings being hurt, and now you're calling for a black man to lose his job or be disciplined at work for something that happened outside of work because he hurt your feelings,
Correct.
something that we usually associate with a Karen, oftentimes being a white woman. And it's like, Robert, what you just did on social media is why Ryan, like it further proves Ryan Clark's point that y'all probably don't have them conversations about what black women go through in y'all's household. Like you proved his point while being the way you responded to that. You could have not responded. You could have texted him, called him, because I know these men have each other's numbers.
Hmm.
But you're like, I want him disciplined. ESPN, this is not acceptable. He should be disciplined. It was so aggressively like
He wanted,
lame.
he wanted, it was definitely lame. He wanted the court of public opinion to be on his side. So he took to social media to call it an attack, which, man, that's so whack. It really
It
is.
was so whack, but we'll see how this plays out. I don't think ESPN will issue a statement because, like you mentioned, Malik, they haven't said nothing about Shannon Sharp. They haven't said nothing about not Molly. What's her about Joy?
Well, yeah,
About
that's
Joy
Fox
Taylor.
Sports, not ESPN. It's Fox Sports, but still, like these big companies, like
They work together.
they'll just, let that stuff
Brush it under the
blow
rug.
over.
It's like y'all
Yeah,
are full blown like rape, sexual assault allegations going on that y'all did not address. So y'all can't address this situation if y'all
right,
swept the rape under the rug.
right. Well, I don't know if it's rape.
Well,
That's another top, another
somebody is
top.
accused of it. So
I well, true. You're right. There's an accusation out there for
there's an
sure. But
accusation out there. So if they didn't address the accusation,
yeah,
they can't
let's say
address this situation.
these
This
news
situation
networks
is
don't.
crumbs
These
compared
news
to
networks, exactly. These news networks only. I can't believe nothing's been said by the Fox Sports one. I cannot believe.
that's
But
crazy.
yeah, that just further tells you how true it was, and they just letting that go. And yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna hear anything about it. So
I think we might hear something about it in like a year, like
if it
if it
actually was the
goes to court or
trial,
if it gets
yeah,
settled. If it
yeah.
gets
If it
settled.
gets settled, we'll probably figure it out. Yeah. True,
Yeah, but I think the
true.
network is like, we're not touching that. Like,
Yeah.
we're not touching that. Like, and I wouldn't either because it's like, one, it was too many sides of the story. It was too many different stories. I'm like, we got the hairdresser, we got two announcers, we got an executive, and they're all telling different stories.
Hmm.
So they did right in that one, but they need to do right by this one and just not address it.
Did you notice that Taylor Rooks is not on Joy Taylor's show anymore?
Yeah, I did notice that. After the allegation, I noticed that I really haven't seen them together, and they're best friends. According to their podcast, that actually their podcast released the same day as our podcast,
Oh
so
wow,
it was the same day. And so I actually went back and was like, I wonder what they're talking about in their podcast now. But I haven't seen Joy Taylor in a long
Rooks.
time up until last week where she was talking about like a clip surfaced. I don't know what podcast she was on, but it wasn't her own podcast, it was a different podcast where she was saying, I don't date overly religious men because
Mm.
of who they really are. And in the comment section, people were like, wait, hold on. We skipped past something. We skipped a couple chapters. What happened? And I was like, wait, okay. I was like, wait. Whoa, we forgot about this. So that was
Yeah,
the week before last
and
or
I was like,
something.
no one's asking her about it. Why is no one even asking?
I think that because people know
I
the
think
legality that comes with it, and
true.
it's like if they're in the process of a legal proceeding, there's probably NDAs
You can't talk
everywhere.
about it. Yeah.
They can't talk about it, and nobody wants to be added as a witness to something like that and be like, oh, well, yeah, so and so
Mm.
spoke to me about this, so you don't speak to them about, like, it's like, I don't tell me anything because I don't want to have to miss work to come and testify because all y'all, it's a very messy situation. I think, like, as adults, people are like, I'm not going to ask about this because
True.
I want no dealings with it. And those topics are really confusing, and people don't want to have to pick a side when it's like we know nothing. We
True.
we don't know anything. No
Uh,
side has proof, or one side saying they have proof, but we
uh,
we can't see any of the proof. So it's
I
like
don't know. It
I don't want
sounds
to touch
like
it.
it's. I don't know. You didn't watch Fox Sports a lot like I did. Joy Taylor did used to dress a little more provocatively than the average person on TV.
As
And
as a woman in sports, I have from my training. minor in sports management and I've worked with a couple different teams, but in my training, I don't even wear skirts or dresses when I am interviewing for a sports team because of the negative perception of women in sports and athletics. When I work in sports, I am almost never in a dress. I've never interviewed in a dress. I make sure I am coat, jacket,
Hmm.
pants. Um, and so I did notice with Joy Taylor, and by no means am I saying like what she's alleging is because of what she was wearing. That's not an excuse for anything. So
True,
I
true.
don't want to even anyone to
Right,
clip
right.
that and be like, oh, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I've always said like, dang, like I would never wear that to a basketball game. But it's not just Joy Taylor. I've said it about a lot of the girls coming up in broadcasting where I'm like, we didn't get the same training because I was taught by men and women, don't ever wear this. Some of these dresses are way too short to be on film, and we sit like this, and I'm like, y'all are at an angle where I can see up your skirt, and for whatever reason, nobody is, the cameramen are not saying like we need to get a different angle. But I've noticed that I've always said that, and
Hmm.
I've noticed that about Joy Taylor and a bunch of other announcers at other levels. That was something that I always noticed because I'm like, there's no way I would wear that.
I think the Joy Taylor stuff is true. I will say that just because she hasn't said like they're not, it's not true. I just feel like it makes it more true that you're not even saying like the fact the omission of not of saying confessing or denying anything makes it sound true. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, because if it wasn't true, you would just say like, yeah, these are all false. But there's not one peep,
So
which
the
is
my thoughts on that situation is like I always say when it comes to domestic violence and sexual assault allegations, I try to never leave like publicly say like what I think to be true. I obviously have a formula and opinion in my head. Um and I've worked with in the industry, and there have been whispers of certain things and how certain people act in certain spaces. But one thing I will say is um someone that is genuinely a predator almost always goes for the person, typically a woman, like when they're like, I don't want to say planning their assault, but when they are thinking who they can get away doing something to, they almost always go for the person that people won't believe. So like, let's use high school as an example. The girl that is seen as like fast or, a little loose, that's normally the target because that man is saying no one will believe her.
mm.
They're not going to believe her. So one thing that I try to practice is to not give an opinion for or against the accused or the accuser, because the reality is
Well,
you never know what someone does when they think they're not being watched.
true, true. As I said, it's the true form of someone's character. What I am saying is, I do think Joy Taylor may have got herself close to the top out of because of some things that because that's all it was, right? Is that she was, well, I forgot what the original
The
um
allegation was the
allegation
hairdresser
was
said that
that Skip Bayless
Joy,
offered money to sleep with her, right? And then
it
she
was
roped
it
in the
was
whole
like
Joy.
five different allegations.
No, yeah, the whole Joy Taylor situation was that she dated an executive and then got with, or I guess actually the executive cheated on his wife with her,
Yeah.
and um she also got with Emmanuel Acho to get on the show or something like that too.
Yeah.
Um,
There was a couple of names dropped and I know they were
yeah.
pissed.
True, true, yeah, because yeah, the hairdresser,
The
because
hairdresser dropped a ball.
Joy Taylor just told her all this stuff apparently, and
Yeah.
yeah, I guess she did not think that she was just going to betray her trust like that, but yeah, she did, she came out publicly and not a peep on it, and I don't know, just sounds bad when it's not a peep, nothing said, and they're just gonna let it just brush over. That's obviously what they're doing now, just letting it brush over.
Yeah, it sounds bad when nothing is said, but also these are media conglomerates.
True.
They have a lot more to risk. So the moment that lawsuit dropped or that accusation dropped, what I think happened was everyone individually lawyered up, and then the lawyers that already work for Fox were like, no one say anything, because at that point, anything that is said
When we
will
get
be
you.
played in court. So it's like, don't say anything. Like,
Hmm.
don't say anything for it. Don't say anything against it. It's like, don't say anything.
It depends too. I don't know if it was on Fox or Skip Bayless, because Skip Bayless is not working there anymore. He was let go. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they're not saying
It was
anything.
literally a mess. Like, it's a
Yeah.
mess. I should do another episode on it, but that I think I thought about doing an episode on it, but I was like, it's so sticky and there's so much that is not confirmed where it's like I can't report this when none of
Oh,
these
it's
are
just
stated as
it's just
facts.
gonna be speculation for us, 100%. We have no
Yeah,
boots on the ground, nothing. But we just
yeah.
it's just
Yeah, so
speculation.
we'll hear about it in like
Yeah.
January of next year, December. We'll hear about
Yeah.
December of this year, January next year. I think that's about how long things take to settle out. So we'll hear about it, but
True.
it won't be soon. It'll be a
Yeah.
couple months. But
Yeah. I forgot how we got on that. We are just talking. Just
we just
talking.
started ranting, but we're gonna let the people go.
Yeah.
Um, I am your host, Jordan with the Playbook Diaries, joined by Malik, and we will see you guys soon. Y'all tune into the
Thank
Playbook
you.
Diaries.